The first match was on the buy-in pre-show. It was Britt Baker and Ito versus Thunder Rosa and a returning Rio. It was a very entertaining match. I got some laughs out of it, mainly because of the antics of Ito. Yes, other than that, the main in-ring action wasn't that good. It was kind of standard for like a Dynamite episode. But as I said, the antics of Ito made this one pretty funny. In the end, though, Rebel got involved, hit Thunder Rosa with a crutch, and this allowed Baker to roll her up for the win. So the team of Ito and Britt Baker, with the help of Rebel, they get the win on the very first episode of, or the very first match of Revolution. Okay, so once the main card kicked off, the first match was the AEW Tag Team Championship match. Young Bucks defending their belts against the Inner Circle. Mainly it was Chris Jericho and MJF. And this was a really good match. Lots of action, lots of close finishes. Lots of high spots, cool spots all around. In the end, though, it was the Young Bucks who got the win to hit the Meltzer driver. So they were able to retain their titles, and I guess this feud's over with Jericho and MJF. I could see there being possibly one more blow-off match on Dynamite that could possibly lead to the wedge being driven between Jericho and MJF, and this will allow Young Bucks to finally move on past Jericho and MJF and on to the winner of the Casino Tag Team Battle Royale, which was the next match. This had a bunch of teams in there. It was the Natural Nightmares and Dark Order, mainly 5 and 10 that started it. After that, we had Santana and Ortiz, the Seidel brothers, Evo, Uno, and Grayson, the Gun Club, Pretty Peter Avalon and Panoni, Varsity Blondes, Bear Country, Jurassic Express, Butcher and the Blade, Private Party, SCU, Death Triangle, Silver and Reynolds. And rules of this or past Casino Battle Royales that AEW had, where there'd be like a certain suit of card, hearts, diamonds, spades. When you drew, when that suit was called, then you would enter the ring. This one was more Royal Rumble style, where it was every 90 seconds a new tag team would come in, and when both members of that tag team were thrown over the top rope and both feet touched the floor, they were eliminated. And there's some pretty cool moments in this match. Mainly, the most notable one to me was when QT Marshall, he eliminated the Gun Club, who were part of the Nightmare Collective, and Dustin caught him out on that, and this apparently pissed off QT, so he hopped over the front rope, or top rope, after arguing with Dustin and eliminated himself, so there may be a split coming there. And then the other big one was SCU losing. They said the next time they lost a match, they would no longer team up, so they did not win. They were both eliminated. I don't know if this qualifies as a loss for them, as it wasn't really like a standard tag team match, but they didn't win either. So it'll be interesting to see if this is the last time they do in fact team up. But in the end, though, it was Death Triangle who got the win when Rey Fenix last eliminated Jungle Boy. So Pac and Rey Fenix are now your number one contenders for the AEW Tag Team Championship. Okay, we have a break in the action right now before the big money match between Matt Hardy and Adam Hangman Page. After the Tag Team Battle Royal was the AEW Women's Championship match. Mizunami challenging Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. Now, Mizunami got this opportunity by winning a AEW Women's Title number one contender tournament. She won the Japanese side of the bracket and came over and won the whole thing on Dynamite this past Wednesday. So as a result, there wasn't much build or a storyline here. It's just Mizunami getting the win in the tournament to earn the right to face Shida. The match itself was okay. Nothing special really happened. Shida eventually got the win. And I think that lack of storyline kind of hurt this match. They're trying to build up how Mizunami humiliated Shida 10 years ago, and she was like first ever match, but it didn't really do much for this match. After the match, though, Nyla Rose, Britt Baker, and Ito came out, and they attacked Mizunami and Shida. And then Thunder Rosa came out and cleaned house and made the save for the faces. So this could lead to a 3-on-3 women's tag team match this Wednesday on Dynamite. And a lot of people have been saying that the women's division is probably the weakest part of AEW, and I gotta agree with that, considering there was no build to this women's championship match really at all, except for the tournament. And then the post-match antics, seemingly set up a storyline involving all 60s women, was seemingly just thrown together. And then after that, we had Best Friends versus Miro and Kip Sabian. And before the match even started, Orange Cassidy and Chucky T were being interviewed backstage when they were attacked by Sabian and Miro. And Chucky T was really beat up here. His arm was bleeding, and he was bleeding from under his eye. And then Orange Cassidy couldn't even make it out to the ring in time for the match. He ended up coming out later. But in the end, it was Miro who got the win for him and Sabian. He ends up shoving, I think it was Cassidy into Penelope Ford. So she gets hit off the ring. Sabian's checking on her. And then later, Miro makes Chucky T tap out to game over. So they may be planting the seeds for a Sabian-Miro split. Hopefully they send Miro on a monster heel run. But yeah, that was pretty much hopefully the end of the storyline between Chucky T, Orange Cassidy, Miro, and Sabian. So the Big Bunny match went down. Adam Page versus Matt Hardy. Winner here got the other person's money for the entire first quarter of 2021. Match itself was solid. Matt Hardy and Adam Page. Matt Hardy, very solid worker throughout his career. Adam Page, one of the better workers in the current generation, if you will. In the end, though, it looked like Matt Hardy was going to get the win after interference from Private Party, but the Dark Order came out. They helped their boy Adam Hangman Page get the win with a big buckshot lariat, and then he celebrated with the Dark Order after, had some beers. Cole Cabana was there, John Silver, like pretty much the entire Dark Order was there to celebrate with Adam Hangman Page. A very feel-good moment for the Dark Order, and probably the feel-good moment of the year for AEW. For AEW. Fun match overall, and I think this is probably the end of the storyline between Matt Hardy and Adam Page, unless they build us up even further with a Big Money Matt Hardy faction versus the Dark Order type of rivalry going forward. Okay, so in the ladder match, the contestants were Lance Archer versus Max Caster versus Scorpio Sky versus Pentagon versus Cody Rhodes versus a mystery opponent. The newly revealed signed AEW roster joinee was none other than Ethan Page of Impact Wrestling, formerly of the North. He made his AEW debut tonight, and he had an okay showing. The match itself was a lot of fun. Can never go wrong with the ladder match. Each of these guys look really good. There was an interesting note here where Cody Rhodes was getting booed. He was kind of doing that like Super Cena treatment. He was taken out of the match early after Pentagon did a Canadian Destroyer to him on a ladder. He got helped to the back, came back out, started clearing house, and the crowd was booing him. The smart wrestling fans don't like when a guy basically sleeps throughout the match and then comes back and wins it. It looked like he was going to win it, but it turns out that was not the case. Scorpio Sky, my pick for this match, the guy I really like, he ended up getting the win. He knocked Cody off the ladder at the end and grabbed the brass ring for himself. And this was an actual brass ring. It looked like a big gold ring from the Sonic the Hedgehog video games hanging above the ring on this ladder. And so Scorpio Sky climbed the ladder, grabbed it, so now he gets a shot at the TNT Championship. And it was a really good match, a lot of fun. Highly recommend you watch it. And good for Scorpio Sky. He's going to face Darby Allin for that title, I think, on Wednesday. And then after that, we had the big AEW signing debut. Paul White, formerly The Big Show, made his AEW debut this past Wednesday. He said there's a Hall of Fame worthy talent that was going to be appearing at Revolution. A lot of speculation of who this guy was. Was it Kurt Angle? Was it Brock Lesnar? Batista? Christian? CM Punk? Names were just being floated out everywhere. And then we got the big reveal, and it was Christian, now known as Christian Cage, the name he used in TNA. And he came out to, I think it was his TNA entrance music that he came out to. So I don't know if AEW bought the rights or if it's that working relationship they have with TNA right now that allowed him to come out to that TNA theme. But yeah, Christian, now known as Christian Cage, is in AEW, came to the ring, signed his contract. Very cool to see Christian in AEW wrestling again. He had a surprise return at the Royal Rumble a couple months ago. Looked like he was in great shape, showed he could still go in the ring. And I guess WWE was not giving him that chance, so he decided to go to AEW. And good as Christian. Hopefully it turns out well for him in AEW. After that, we had this tag team street fight match. Brian Cage and Ricky Starks taking on the team of Darby Allin and Sting. And this was a cinematic type of match. It was being broadcasted from this warehouse, and they were just tearing each other apart in this warehouse. It's really cool. There's a lot of cool spots in here. Jeff, you got to check it out. Probably the spot of the match was toward the end where Powerhouse Hobbs, Taz's son, Cage, and Starks were all double teaming Sting after Darby Allin got taken out earlier. They're beating him with a shovel, and Darby Allin appears at the top of this warehouse, throws the bat to Sting, and Sting just starts clearing the house with that. Sets up Brian Cage on his platform. Then Darby Allin jumps out of a window on like the 3rd floor and crashes through Brian Cage. And then the action, there's a wrestling ring in this warehouse too, so the action ends and eventually pours its way back to the ring. Sting manages to pin Ricky Starks for the win, so now Sting and Darby Allin defeated. Team Taz, essentially, there's everybody on Team Taz at this point. And yeah, so hopefully, I think that should be the end of this rivalry between Darby Allin and Team Taz. This thing's been going on for about a year at this point, so it's going to be good to see them kind of go their separate ways. And now Darby Allin has a feud with Scorpio Sky possibly on the horizon with that TNT title defense happening on Dynamite this Wednesday. In your 2021 AEW Revolution main event, it is the next chapter in probably what has to be the longest running rivalry in AEW. It is Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega in a barbed wire exploding death match. You heard that correct, and no, this is not a Vince Russo creation. This is something that apparently has been happening in Japan. Hasn't happened in 25 years because the danger involved with barbed wire and explosives. But this is a match that is fitting for a rivalry that's been dated back to May of 2019 at the very first AEW pay-per-view, where Jon Moxley appeared at the end and attacked Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega and set that rivalry off. It's been going on since then. And yeah, it's crazy. That was at, I think, Double or Nothing 2019. And here we are at Revolution, the final pay-per-view before Double or Nothing 2021. And this match was fun. It was crazy. It was wild. It was violent. And it was definitely, it wasn't like a 5-star purist wrestling match by any means. It was spectacle and it was violence. And I loved it. It was a lot of fun to watch. The 3 sides of the ring were covered in barbed wire, and every time someone hit the ropes, there was an explosion. There was 2 boards of barbed wire on the 2 turnbuckles closest to the entrance ramp, and then outside of the ring, let's call it Triple Hell, there was boards with barbed wire, and every time someone landed on those boards, more explosives went off. And yeah, so Jon Moxley, bloody mess in this match. His face was just gushing blood, and then Kenny Omega, he was bleeding too. It was crazy. As I said, explosives and barbed wire. There was chairs wrapped in barbed wire, baseball bats wrapped in barbed wire. There was a point where they were fighting. They were fighting on the apron after Kenny Omega drove Jon Moxley into the ropes and it exploded. But because Kenny Omega was facing the rope when it exploded, he had to call for some water. It looked legit, like he was really calling for some water, because the ref was seeming in a panic when they threw the water in the ring. It didn't get to the ref. It went to Kenny, and it hit Kenny because he was blinded. But after that water spot, they fight on the ring apron. Moxley hits a paradigm shift to Omega off the apron onto the barbed wire, which then explodes. Crazy stuff. In the end, though, it looked like Jon Moxley was going to somehow find a way to get his belt back. Omega hit a one-winged angel, but Moxley broke the pin by putting his foot on the rope, caused another explosion, which broke the pin. But here come the Good Brothers from TNA, the Impact World Tag Team Champions. They help out Kenny. Moxley's able to take out Anderson and Gallows with a barbed wire baseball bat, but they hand Omega a barbed wire baseball bat with an explosive on it. So he hits Jon Moxley in the face. The explosive goes off. And yeah, it's too much for Moxley to overcome. The Good Brothers provide the assistance. Kenny Omega is able to get the pin for the win, and he retains his AEW championship. After that, they beat up on Moxley some more, and they handcuff him, and then the 1 minute left timer appears on the screen, because the thing was that this match didn't end in 30 minutes. All of the explosives around the ring and in the ring were supposed to detonate. And so the timer's going off. Omega and the Good Brothers, they vacate the ring. Eddie Kingston comes out, the same Eddie Kingston who was feuding with Moxley earlier in the year. They had a really good pay-per-view match. They're actually real life, long-time friends. So he's coming out to try and save Moxley. You're thinking, oh my God, this is going to be good. He's coming out to save his buddy. He throws himself onto Moxley as the timer's counting down. And you expect some big nuclear explosion to happen, and instead of getting a Goldberg-esque type of entrance, we got the Gilbert equivalent.
couple sparklers went off on the ring post, and that was pretty much it. No big explosion. Something had to have happened where the explosives were botched at the end, and you gotta feel bad for Moxley and Eddie Kingston. Kingston looks like a complete idiot for selling, because he was laying on top of Moxley, so you're supposed to think he's protecting him from the explosion. But as I said, it was like a couple sparklers went off around the ring, and nothing happened. It was very anticlimactic, but Kingston's got to sell this. So he looks like a total idiot lying on top of Moxley. And Moxley, I mean, you can give it the benefit of the doubt because he just had the crap kicked out of him, but golly, for all this hype of this big explosion that we're going to get, it was like a fart. Nothing happened. A couple sparklers, that was it. So whoever wired the dynamite or the explosives or whatever, they had to botch it, because there is no possible way that was the plan. Instead, it just made Kingston look like a total idiot. And yeah, so a very anticlimactic explosion, but the match itself was fantastic. I highly recommend you watch it. I highly recommend this pay-per-view. AEW Revolution was very fun to watch. Young Bucks versus Jericho and MJF, probably the match of the night. The tag team battle royal was fun. The ladder match was fun. Hardy versus Page was pretty fun too. And then the barbed wire exploding death match and street fight. Those were spectacles you got to watch in order to see to believe. And yeah, so Omega wins. That's what I thought was going to happen. Moxley is supposed to be having a baby soon, so I'm guessing this was supposed to write him off television for a while, so he can go be a father. And it looks like Kenny Omega and Eddie Kingston might have a rivalry going forward. I could definitely see them having a match at Double or Nothing for the AEW World Championship. And yeah, that's all I got for you. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, check out my website, cincyfanzone.blogspot.com. Give me a follow on Twitter and on Instagram. Those are at Cincy Fan Zone. Links to all that is in the description below. And this is the final AEW pay-per-view I will be reviewing. There's only 2 wrestling pay-per-views left I'm going to review: WWE Fastlane and WrestleMania 37. After that, I'm no longer going to be reviewing wrestling pay-per-views. It is now midnight on a Sunday, and I have to work in the morning, and there's a bunch of other stuff I got to do during the week, so yeah, these wrestling reviews don't really get the views, and it's just, it kind of stinks when you're watching something that you enjoy, but then you gotta, like, review it at the same time. So in order to cut down on the amount of stuff I gotta do for my website, and just so I don't have to, like, stop watching wrestling to review wrestling, this is the last, this is the last AEW pay-per-view, followed by the last WWE pay-per-views I'm going to be reviewing. But if you watched them and enjoyed in the past, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I may start them back up in the future should I get more time to dedicate to the website. That has not been the case. The time I've been getting has been decreasing severely, just because, you know, life is crazy. And yeah, but if you have been watching my wrestling pay-per-view reviews since the beginning, thank you very much. And then I'll probably put like an update post or an update video out in the future about the future of the Cincy Fan Zone website. But until then, thanks for watching.